I'm getting together with Jordan from Bright Eyed Birding to hit the road and make our way from southern Utah to some iconic locations in Arizona. We have some incredible memories along the way on this trip, and of course we see some amazing bird species too, including some ones you are not gonna wanna miss. Just wait till we hit the park in Phoenix, Arizona. There's an amazing bird that you'll need to see. So without further ado, let's start at the beginning. Start of the road trip picking up Jordan, and where I'm picking him up in the front yard, we got a robin. That feels like a good sign for the trip. There he is. A lot of driving ahead of us, but also a lot of fun. I don't know if anyone would be truly excited about embarking on a 12-hour road trip, but there were cool birds to see, and it's always great for Jordan and I to get a chance to catch up and talk shop. We started from Salt Lake City, and I picked Jordan up in Lehi, and then we headed all the way down south about 5.5 hours to Kanab, Utah. This reservoir that you see right here is Jackson Flat Reservoir. As we pulled into Kanab, we reached Jackson Flat Reservoir, and this was our first birding location of the day. Holy cow, we stopped here at Jackson Flat Reservoir to do some birding on the way down of our road trip, and my goodness, it's windy all of a sudden. I hope you can still hear me. The bad weather and wind was quite unexpected, honestly. We were looking at good weather on our weather apps throughout the duration of this trip. So we were a little surprised, but we managed. I started filming some of these grackles, birds that are common around gas stations and garbage areas as they pick through human waste even to find a good meal. You can see this one here comes up with a nice little prize that the rest of the grackles immediately want. Looks like a piece of popcorn, if I had to guess. Grackles are kind of funny creatures though. They make a wide variety of noises that often throw me off trying to identify birds by sound. We thought we could do a nice little birding stop to break up this road trip, but this looks like it's going to be a short-lived stop. I'm actually getting whipped in the face by some sand blowing in, and it does look like there's going to be some rain coming down here soon, so I'm going to try and see what's out on the water real quick, and I think we're going to hightail it out of here. Not loving the weather, I started filming all of the birds to try and get a good amount of species on camera before the rain rolled in, so I could show you what we were seeing. Out on the water, we had a lot of the common species like your typical mallards. There were also American coot. A cool bird though was a spotted sandpiper that was just barely off in the distance. Don't worry though, we do get a little bit better views of that sandpiper in a bit. We had a pied-billed grebe, and then a bird threw us for a loop. I believe it's a common goldeneye, but it had some really weird plumage. I don't know if this is just a juvenile that I'm not familiar with or something with its melanin is wrong. So let me know what you think about this goldeneye in the comments. We debated that one for a little bit. Hey. He just said osprey to me. Oh yeah. See if I can try and get it for you guys. Sure enough, we had an osprey. These are magnificent raptors that specialize primarily in eating fish. It's about 99% of their diet. They're really huge wingspans and big birds that are larger than a lot of the other raptor species out there. Very cool to see always, and even your non-birders will get excited at this bird coming into the sky. Though, a lot of times non-birders will often refer to this as an eagle, which you might need to correct them if that's the case. Thankfully, the weather was getting a little bit tamer. The wind was still blowing kind of heavy as this Bullock's oriole was just holding on for dear life as the branches whipped around. Bullock's orioles are summer and into fall residents in Utah, even up by Salt Lake where I live. Still really cool to see though. I had just seen my first before leaving for this trip. These were only my second and third birds total on the year, so a cool species to see. Like I mentioned, the spotted sandpiper returned, so I dropped a little lower this time as he crept closer to me and tried to get as good of media as I could. You could really see from this distance those spots that give it the name, spotted sandpiper, and its cool behavior where it bobs its tail up and down.
Interestingly, we don't know why sandpipers bob their tail. At least we don't 100% know. There's hypotheses around signaling to other sandpipers around the area that they're there and making themselves known, but it's not a behavior we're familiar with. Going back to the Jackson Flat, this location was pretty cool. It had a nice paved trail, the park was really beautiful, and this reservoir was gorgeous with the red rock backdrop, had good facilities too. It's a spot I'd highly recommend stopping if you were interested in birding, or even things like disc golf or just taking a walk. With the sun finally shining again though and the storm seemingly moving past us, started filming some other birds and spending a little bit more time here before we hit the road again. We had some turkey vultures flying fairly close overhead, and then an American white pelican rounded out our species. Off in the distance, I recorded the storms moving away from us and did get one lightning strike on camera. Now that looked way wimpy compared to what I was seeing in person. I don't know if my camera adequately picked it up, but the lightning was crazy. Transitioning locations now, we moved from Kanab and made our way into Arizona, moving southeast. This area you're looking at here is where we'll be camping and doing a little bit of birding before continuing our road trip. Why is this the hardest part of any adventure? There we go. Finding ourselves with a little extra daylight, we stopped at Navajo Bridge, which is a known place for California condors. We were planning on going here tomorrow morning, but we decided to scout out the location also in the evening just to see if any birds were around. It was really quiet and peaceful. This area is really cool because there's a pedestrian bridge, and on the bridge the cars drive across. And you can see the bridge that the cars drive across, and if you look in the rafters, you'll often find condor just roosting there. And just like we expected, there was one tucked away in one of the rafters in the other bridge. You also can easily find them along the cliffside, where we found a few more, including an adult with the pink head that you can see on the right-hand side. They were all getting ready to sleep, it looked like, though, so we looked at them for a little bit and decided we were going to return in the morning. All right, we just saw the California condor here at Navajo Bridge. Really, really cool bird species. One of the most awesome, comeback from extinction of any bird out there. And there are 7 of them. At least that's what we counted here today. They're all tucked up against the cliff, so we didn't get any too crazy behaviors or seeing them fly with that huge wingspan out in the air. But we're gonna come back tomorrow, and hopefully in the morning they'll be getting ready to take off and we'll be able to see them in the air. Right now they're kind of settling in, hunkering down for the evening, it seems like. So yeah, this is the first time I'm trying nachos while camping. Seemed pretty straightforward. I cooked the chicken at home and we sliced up some veggies before we left. And then just cheese, tortilla chips, beans, jalapenos, cilantro, red onion. So I think it'll be pretty good. Check back in like 15 minutes or so once things are melted. So a little lore about me for you all is I actually used to do an outdoor camping channel. I was really interested in YouTube for a while before I really fell in love with this wildlife lens stuff. And so I did a bunch of camping trips and filmed my adventures. I ultimately fell out of love with that a little bit just because camping is so seasonal. I couldn't be consistent with the content. I really enjoyed wildlife and the variety of it a bit more. But I really dialed in my camping setup. I used to have a whole platform built out here that could collapse and open back up. But I found, honestly, my favorite method now is just throw a mattress in the back of a car, use a pet hammock to hold up the mattress, and it works great. I have a lot more room than when I used to with the whole platform back here. And I just use boxes to hold my gear now instead of the drawers I built out. But even though my love for that channel kind of diminished a little bit, I still love camping, and the chance to combine birding and camping is seriously a ton of fun. And I love just getting the chance to spend time out here in nature in this fairly secluded spot. There's definitely people camping out here too, but this is gorgeous. I mean, I can't believe it's free. I love all of the free public land we have here in Utah. But yeah, that's basically the final setup. Just a tri-fold mattress, pillow. I have another blanket plus that rumple blanket right there. And yeah, I will always enjoy camping. But now I'm gonna be digging into some nachos that I am very excited about. Okay, check that out. I think it turned out pretty good, but we're gonna have to give it a taste test just to see. Oh, and of course, got a drink tonight. As long as I don't spill this whole thing on the ground, I can give it a first try. I mean, I already know it's gonna be good. It's chicken, cheese, tomatoes, jalapenos, red onion. Like, you can't really go wrong with that. So, as long as everything is cooked, I think it'll be great. It has kind of like a campy taste to it. Interesting. That's good stuff. Well, Jordan's gonna join me in a sec. He's just finishing putting his tent and stuff up. Lemonade, but also thoughts on the nachos.
Good. It's so good. I might be starving, but it's really good.
So Jordan was just brushing his teeth over here, and he noticed that's a black widow. I don't think you can see the red from here, but we definitely saw it. That's gnarly. And there's a little spider right by that rock. Ooh.
What?
It's on the move.
Oh, I thought you got bit.
Oh, it's making its web.
Night night, Hawken.
That's insane. Black widows aside, we had a really nice night chatting around the fire and just got to relax before going to bed. The next morning was a really nice sunrise with some cool colors of the surrounding area. If you are down for camping with no facilities, this kind of stuff is amazing, and I love that it's free. One of the best parts about Utah and Arizona in the West, for sure. Good morning. It is a new day, and we are just packed up camp now, and we're going to leave this beautiful Vermilion Cliffs area. Honestly, this is probably one of like the top 5 dispersed camping sites I've been to. The views are just beautiful, as you can see behind me, but we're gonna head back to Navajo Bridge, see if we can find the condors flying today, and then we're gonna head out of this Vermilion Cliffs Red Rock area over to Flagstaff, past that just a little bit, and head to Kachina Wetlands. So let's get this road trip going. Well, we returned to Navajo Bridge, and the condors were a little more active. Took a bit to find them at first. They were directly below us, so we reoriented ourselves around the other side of the bridge and got some pretty great views of the birds. There was one tucked away again, but a few were a little bit more out in the open, allowing us to see the bird in its full majestic form. Fortunately, no birds were flying quite yet. It was a little colder this day, so we figured they might wait for it to warm up so they could get some thermals to rise on, so we didn't stick around too long waiting for them to go. All right, so we just saw the condors again this morning, and they are incredible. We actually got better views than last night, it seems like. We did see them along the cliffs last night, but from up here, we have a decent angle down at them. Saw 3 young ones. There was a 4th that was around, but they kind of seem to have dispersed a little bit more. Now I'm only looking at 1 right now, still super cool, and such a peaceful morning here in the canyon. We heard a common yellowthroat calling, and there was a canyon wren with its call just echoing across the wall. Sorry, I thought that was a condor. There's a raven back there that perched up. That would have been insane if that was a condor. But yeah, just such a great morning. Just feels so still and quiet, and you hear those bird calls every once in a while. These are just such awesome moments. And onwards, the road trip continued from the Navajo Bridge area, a little bit south past Flagstaff, to Kachina Wetlands. All right, we are now at our first birding location of the day, besides the Navajo Bridge repeat. We are at Kachina Wetlands, just south of Flagstaff. Now, this location is really special to Jordan because it's where his channel got started. So I'm excited to explore this with him. He's very nostalgic and super excited. I mean, dude is already running way up ahead of me just to get out there. You can't even wait. So I bet there's gonna be some good birds here. He says it's his #1 hotspot of all time. I'll let you know my thoughts at the end of this adventure though. Let's go birding. Kachina Wetlands is a habitat that consists of a series of ponds at a water treatment plant. There's also plenty of trees around the edges of this place, and there's a grove of trees in the center of it. There's a few empty ponds as well, and some good mudflat areas for shorebirds. We picked up some of your common wetland species that you'd expect. We got a cool bird in this ringneck duck. There were swallows just constantly flying around. Here you're seeing a cliff swallow, the one I was focusing on, but wouldn't be surprised if some of you sharp-eyed people catch a different species, because there were barn swallows around, and maybe even some other ones too. Jordan and I moved from pond to pond, looking to see what birds were at each location, seeing if we could find some really neat ones. Out here were some white-faced ibis. This is probably my favorite bird of the day. They're just so cool looking, very unique with that long curved bill that I really enjoy. Not sure if you'll be able to hear it in the back, but there was a killdeer screaming I was trying to locate with my binoculars while we were looking at these ibis. I eventually did finally find it, and then of course it ran away before I could get as good of a shot as I would have liked. There's a quick shot of it running away from me. And then we have the second osprey of the video. Overhead, I didn't actually get a video of the other species. There was an osprey and a bald eagle. Jordan was telling me these are pretty commonly found here, and he remembers them fondly back in the early days of his channel, seeing them compete to get the fish. The eagle would even come out to steal the fish from the osprey once it did the hard work. As we came to another pond, one of the biggest birds, a great blue heron, flew away from us, very majestically, I would say. Wetland birding is interesting. For some reason, wetlands, I think it's just because the combination of the trees nearby and the water, you can easily get a lot of species. Just having water in and of itself brings a bunch of waterfowl, those shorebirds like I mentioned. So these hotspots are always going to jump out when you're looking on systems like eBird as having the most amount of species, because they generally will have more species seen in a single outing than your forest or mountain perhaps. But if you're not a huge wetland birder, that's something to remember. It's not always about the amount of species, it's about the species you're interested in seeing. Kachina Wetlands lives up to that high species count though. It is the highest diversity of a place in Coconino County, according to the North Arizona Audubon website. One bird that gave us pause here was this dowager in front of us. On the day we called it a long-billed dowager because the bill seemed quite long to us, but kind of looking back at the identification features, I guess the bill of the short-billed dowager and the long-billed dowager do have some overlap, so I'm not changing it right now. I do think long-billed dowager is more common, so that feels more correct to me, but if any of you are experts at this decision, let me know in the comments what you think we got in front of us. And as we ended in this grove of trees, there was a pygmy nuthatch kind of rounding out the day. It was not happy trying to protect this little cavity it had on the dead trunk when a cowbird landed on it. Eventually it did reclaim its roost though, and the cowbird moved on, seemingly disinterested.
All right, that was a pretty productive stop at Kachina Wetlands. We ended with, I think, 36 species. Pretty good time overall. I would definitely not put it as like top spots like Jordan was saying. We didn't hit 50 species or anything crazy, but it's still a very great spot. I very much enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm glad I got to come here with Jordan. He was obviously very excited because this is where his channel was born. If I haven't mentioned it yet in the video, I feel like I usually do, but make sure you check out Jordan's channel, Bright Eyed Birding. Link will of course be in the description. But anyways, I'm feeling a little bit tired right now. Energy levels are a little low. I don't know if it's just the straight driving we've been doing this morning, and I just might need a nap on this next stretch. So I think I'm gonna pass out as we continue along on this road trip, and I'll check back in with you in the next spot.
While I took a nap, Jordan took the wheel over and we headed farther south from Kachina Wetlands to the Phoenix area. We were going to Moon Valley Park with a few specific targets in mind.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Now we are here in Phoenix. We drove about 2-ish hours down to Phoenix. Now we're continuing our way down to Tucson. We're planning on camping near Phoenix tonight. So we basically hit where we're trying to go, but we found ourselves with a bunch of extra time. So we actually came into Phoenix just slightly. We're at Moon Valley Park. looking to see what birds we can find here. There's actually some decent potential for lifers, but one of our main targets is the rosy-faced lovebird. It's a parrot species that have established populations here in Phoenix. Now, nothing's a guarantee, especially with parrots. They can kind of show up anywhere. It doesn't look like they have a common roosting site according to eBird, so we're hoping to get lucky, but I think we're gonna see some great birds regardless. We've already gotten some cool species we don't always come across, like white-winged dove. Saw some cool hawk species in the parking lot. So let's see what we find here at Moon Valley Park, just outside of Phoenix. Rewinding back a second just to show you those behaviors I was talking about. While we were in the parking lot, we had two mockingbirds fighting? Maybe trying to mate? I don't know what was happening here, but they were flying around kind of entangled with each other. And the hawks, like I said, a red-tailed hawk flew in this close and perched up on a pole, and this Cooper's hawk was just 20 yards away and was not happy about it. Not sure exactly where to go in this park. We started along the trail just looking at the birds hopping in the trees and moving along, and we quickly came across what appears to have been just a piece of bird food that someone left behind, and it brought in so many species, including a few lifers for Jordan and an eventual lifer for me. In this shot here, there's white-winged dove, a common dove, Inca dove, the rock pigeon right in the middle. There's a Gambel's quail that showed up. There's a house sparrow hopping there too.
Those little tiny doves right there.
Inca doves?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what the heck? Okay, what's this toey? Is that a can?
Here's a closer look at that common ground dove so you can see the difference from the mourning dove. We just filmed it a little bit because we honestly expected to see them everywhere on this trip, but this was actually one of only two we ended up coming across on the entire Arizona trip. So thankfully I did get these clips of it. And then my first lifer of the day was this bronze cowbird that kind of made its way and tried to fight for some of that seed. And then out of nowhere, a silhouette appeared above us with a really interesting call. I wasn't sure what this was right away, but it was a lifer for Jordan. All right, I feel like going into this, Jordan was a little unsure about this place, but
Yeah.
we all of a sudden just boom, 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 picked up a bunch of crazy birds. How are you feeling?
I don't know, rapid fire lifers. 3 lifers for me in the span of 5 minutes. And it just looked like your normal park. So I'm pretty pumped right now. We haven't even started the actual trip yet and we already got 3 lifers. This is insane.
So yeah, pretty nuts. There's a few species here I had seen before, but Jordan hadn't. And then there was a couple species that were lifers for me. So bronze cowbird, that was a lifer. And I don't think common ground dove is, but it's not one I've ever filmed. So that was really cool to see all those birds there. I have no idea who put out that chunk of bird seed, but it brought in a lot of awesome doves. Got to see Inca dove again, which I haven't seen since the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. And that is probably my favorite dove species, so really cool to see that one again. Being in an area that we are not used to birding, we question our IDs a little bit more with every bird we see, particularly some of the hummingbirds we're not sure about, and just hearing certain calls that we have to like rethink what is that, so we can't just pick it out immediately. And so it's a little bit like, whoa, what are we doing here? But incredible birds. This park has delivered with so much bird activity. It is over 50% doves, which is still pretty cool. There's some great dove species, but we've picked up a lot of other good birds too. Turning back and walking back to where we came from now, might peek at a little more spots, but we're also gonna try and do some more research into the lovebirds to see if we can kind of pinpoint how to find them exactly. Speaking of tough IDs, flycatchers can always be difficult. I think this one and this shot are of the same species though, and we're pretty positive this is a western wood pewee, not one of those notoriously difficult empids, but still a hard bird sometimes. And then what do you know, another lifer. Take a listen to this bird.
And then wondering where the heck the lovebirds were. We moved kind of more to a city area. There's a soccer field here, so it's just mostly grass with some trees along the edge. And we got some just stunning views of a female vermilion flycatcher that just had no care about us in the world at all. It came within probably 4 feet of Jordan's face. It was unreal. Just take a look at some of these photos I was able to capture. And then way across the field, there was a green bird with a little hint of pink on its face. Some might call that rosy. And then coming close to us, I quickly got my camera up to it. We found it. All right, so this is pretty unbelievable. The rosy-faced lovebird is right in front of us. We heard one, it zipped by before, and we didn't think we were gonna get it. Then we saw one briefly, but it flew away from us, and now this one is just being insanely accommodating. This is eerily similar to my experience with I think it was parakeets or no, it was the Amazons in the Rio Grande Valley. It's just a city park that they decide to come to at a certain time of day. And it was the exact same for me in Texas too. But wow, what a cool bird. They're actually smaller than I thought they were too. But man, this is just unreal moment capping off just a like perfect adventure. Jordan's still firing away photos over here. He can't get enough of it, but like it's so cool just to see such a beautiful bird. I'll end this segment with just a few of my favorite photos that I took of the lovebirds. Really pretty parrot. It's hard to believe they're here in the United States. We have 2 more spots left in this video. I'm going to zoom out from Phoenix just to show you them real quick. We're camping up by Lake Pleasant, north of Phoenix, and then the next morning we're going to go to look for a thrasher just south of Phoenix. So let's head to our camp spot. Look at this huge saguaro cactus right next to a tree. And we got verdin right by our campsite. Once Jordan and I reached camp, we set out around the area just to see if we could pick up any last birds before the daylight was gone. There were a couple species. Like mentioned, there were some verdin in the trees around camp, flitting around and just calling constantly because there were a few juveniles in the area wanting food from their parents. A covey of Gambel's quail sprinted away from us, very comically, I might add. We have wild donkeys right by camp. Pretty crazy. This is not even like edited at all. What you're seeing here, that's the color of the sky. This is unreal. Look at that. What a crazy end to just an unbelievable day. Good morning. It is day 3 of the trip. We just had a great night here at the campground, but my goodness, sleep was interesting. There are wild donkeys around like I showed you last night, and they would scream randomly throughout the night. There was one point in the night too, the donkeys went off and then a bunch of coyotes were yipping on the hill. It was just like everyone decided to scream at once. It was unbelievable. All that being said, I slept okay. I got some sleep and I'm ready to tackle today. So we're about to finish up the road trip and we have one last segment of the video here for you. We're going to stop at a spot that was recommended to me to look for 2 thrasher species. We got about an hour-and-a-half drive here. First, before that though, we got to pack up camp, clean everything up here, then we'll hit the road. Oh, also, I woke up at around like 5 something a.m. and I heard some Lucy's warblers calling, so I decided to start recording them, and I picked up another lifer. Got a brown-crested flycatcher, got the audio recording of that, so that's pretty cool. And randomly, just from my bed, as I was listening to the birds around me, got yet another lifer on this just incredible, incredible trip.
Morning.
Rise and shine.
Let's go.
Remnants of our hooligans making so much noise in the middle of the night.
In the morning, there was still verdant around, and it was really funny to me to watch them because these young were just following their parents everywhere, begging for food, when they are totally capable to fly on their own, as you can see from these clips. I guess they just wanted to go the easy route and have the parent do it all for them. But as we headed out of the campsite, there was a really cool moment with the red-tailed hawk perched atop a saguaro. And then we made it, after about an hour and a half of driving, to this landscape before you. We were on some desert BLM land looking for Thrasher. All right, everyone, we are here at the last spot of this video. We're at a hot spot called the Thrasher Stakeout. This is a recommendation to me by one of my followers, so Sean, thank you for giving us this recommendation. Hopefully it pans out, it might not. These thrashers are not a guarantee, but we're looking for 2 species right now. The LeConte's thrasher and the Bendire's. Yeah, and the Bendire's thrasher. We both lifers for Jordan and I if we're able to come across this. But as you can see behind me, this is literally just BLM road. We have some tips on where to look for it, but it is definitely not a guarantee, and we're just gonna hope to come across it. It's not really a habitat I'm familiar with birding frequently. Like, we're often looking for spots with water or things we know where there might be bird activity. It is just spread out here, and it's just desert. There's not a ton of water. There are some trees that we're kind of anchoring to look for these birds. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is it feels like a bit of a long shot at this point, but we're gonna go to give it a try and see if we can find these thrashers. The desert can be a tough place to bird, and we weren't seeing much outside of some turkey vultures soaring overhead and that roadrunner you saw right as we had arrived. But I got a cool sighting of a nighthawk on the ground. Usually only ever see these in the air, so this was awesome. So the one thing we definitely have going against us is it seems like a lot of people get here fairly early, but we had to drive about 2 hours to get here this morning, so we weren't here super early. It's about 10 a.m. and so not gonna get as much song from these birds, which is gonna make it even harder to find them. So it's kind of just a hopeful, maybe we'll see something flutter around at this point. One thing Jordan and I were talking about is it's just absolutely nuts that there are people that find these birds. Like, who decided to come out to this random BLM area and just like search for birds, I guess? Because apparently for the LeConte's, you just have to walk and come across it. So maybe it was just happenstance and then this place became popular once word spread, but it's pretty crazy because like it's sparse all around me. There's not much out here, just desert land. And it's kind of interesting, we have seen a Wilson's warbler and a western tanager that I didn't get on camera, which feels crazy to me to not get those birds by water. And in Salt Lake, we usually see them up in the mountains, so this habitat feels so wrong to me to find these birds, but it is proof there's birds out here, that's for sure. Now, I will say, we saw the Bendire's thrasher, but did not get a clip of it, unfortunately. I was trying to pan my camera with it as it was flying and missed it completely. No views of the LeConte's yet, but we're still searching for both thrashers to try and get better views of the Bendire's and try and find the LeConte's. Well, luckily for us, as we were close to wrapping up, we got the Bendire's thrasher right on top of a dead tree. Lifer! Well, there we go. The desert does deliver here right at the end. We were about to head out, and we came back through the area where we thought the Bendire's would be, and there they were on top of a dead tree. It's an awesome lifer there. Unfortunately, no LeContes, but it's hard to complain. Desert birding can be really hard. Got great views of a lesser nighthawk, and then seeing the bendires up in a tree like that, it was an awesome little detour. So glad we got that lifer. Fun little different birding experience out here in this just vast desert. But we are about to head to Tucson now for some southeastern Arizona birding that I am so excited for. This video is wrapping up, but make sure you subscribe so you don't miss some upcoming Arizona videos from Tucson. We're gonna hit some of the best birding spots in North America. I am so excited. So thank you as always for watching this one though, and all of my other videos. I'll see you in the next one. Happy birding.